because we begin with these fundamental. I mean, they can change, I believe, in some cases, but we begin obviously with the sense, for example, that the language has meaning, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't go about arguing are we actually being meaningful in our use of language?
Hmm. So, but that doesn't explain how, like, the human experience is, or our understanding of the world is axiomatic.
Particular positions we have are axiomatic. I mean, they're fundamental for us to even begin the discussion.
And a belief in a God is not an axiomatic position.
It could be. I mean, for me, belief in God is
It,
properly.
it is not an axiomatic position.
For you, it's not. For me, it's a properly
No,
basic
it
position.
is not. No child is born religious.
No child is born philosophical either. So what? No child is born with a sense of right and wrong, good and bad. No child. No child.
I totally disagree with
Oh.
that. Absolutely, totally disagree with that. And I really want to raise the issue because it's one that always is of great interest to me. Because basically what you're saying is that no human being is born with any degree or idea about morality or how they should interact with other people. That is an absolute load of nonsense.
Oh no!
And
Wait.
people like you, I'm not saying you in particular,
Well,
but
'cause
what
what you
people
said-
like you of theist beliefs try and tell us atheists is that we have no morality.
No.
Absolute nonsense. It's a hopeless argument. So do not tell me that morality is not axiomatic in the human nature. It is. Religion is not. There is a huge difference there.
Okay. Did you listen? I think I usually pick my words very carefully. Okay, because I try not to get into some of that stuff that you're talking about. I didn't use the word morality. Okay. Their understanding, that is to say, of course, we can sit around and talk about and have mental masturbation about concepts regarding right and wrong and morality and ought this and not that. But a child is not sitting there thinking conceptually about something. Do they instinctually interact with each other in a particular way that we as adults look upon and say that's the right way or that's the wrong way? Yes, they do that.
I'm not sure what the argument is here.
We seem to be,
We started with saying that the human interpretation of the world is axiomatic, and that's where I had a problem, because obviously it's not. By the very fact that we're sitting here talking about it, it is not axiomatic.
No, there are particular assumptions that we make, that we begin with, right? I mean, obviously we begin with particular assumptions of which are not, we don't, they're circular. If we begin to, there is no means of trying to provide objective evidence for my assumption that we should have objective evidence to justify beliefs.
Right, we agreed that there is a we agreed that there's a set of assumptions that that start with.
And that's axiomatic.
That our interpretation of our experience is thus axiomatic.
You may have agreed to that. I didn't.
Well.
Are you talking to me or Jack?
He was talking to you. He was talking to me. I didn't say.
I agreed to what?
What did he not agree with Laci about? Okay, never mind.
Oh,
What?
sorry. I didn't realize that I muted my microphone. I'm sorry. I can't even remember where it was now. There was the proposition that you put forward that assumptions are made by people. Again, it's very, very difficult to follow the conversation because it is switching around between so many different issues. And if you're asking, and the reason that I interposed was because I think that children are born without religion and they are born with certain values and traits about them, and that was the point that I was probably ranting about when I interrupted. But I'm sorry, the conversation has now moved on so far. I don't know whether that's relevant anymore.
No, I mean,
we're talking about the belief in God being self-evident. That's what we're talking about. And your statement about children not being born with a religion is exactly why it's not axiomatic, because they are not born with religion.
I didn't say they were born. I didn't say they were born with religion.
I know. I'm not making any claims about what you said. I'm just referring to DPR's statement that children are not born with religion.
Right. They're not born with religion. They're not born with, I mean, they're babies. So there's a lot of things we can say that they're not born. As a matter of fact, it's probably easier for us to talk about what they are born with. I mean, we speak of babies in terms of their behavior, not their capacity to think conceptually. When we generally just say, oh, a baby does this, a baby does that, and we refer more to their actions and not to, I mean, it's odd that, for example, people would associate labels to babies, such as, my baby's a Christian. It's a very odd label to give to give a label to a baby.
Sure.
Because what does that exactly mean?
They do that.
And we do that, and I mean, I can understand that in a particular philosophy, a philosophical perspective that is meaningful to some people, but of course, other.
So, Jack, can I just clarify with you then, Jack? Are you saying that it is inappropriate to label a child as a Christian, a Catholic, a Protestant, a Muslim, or are you saying that is something that should not be done?
That's not what I said. No, what I said was people do that. I sort of see it doesn't make sense to me, but I acknowledge the fact that there are perspectives, or what I would say more technically philosophical frameworks, by which people can people can make sense of those sorts of assertions. Whereas, I mean,
they may be able to make sense of it, but is it right to label it? Is it right to label a child?
Okay, when you say the word right, I hope you understand that is laden with a lot of assumption that is not actually, I mean, we're not talking.
I will simplify the question for you. Do you think it is right to label a child?
To me, it's the idea of saying right or wrong is nonsense. I could care less.
Yet again, you won't answer the question.
I just answered it. The fact that you're unwilling to accept my response I mean, to me that tells me you don't want my response. You want a yes or no answer. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to give you the sort of, I mean, if you're going to ask me a question, let me respond with my way of responding. My response was, I don't care. I'm indifferent. It doesn't matter to me. They want to say that their baby's a Christian or a Muslim. Okay, what's the argument to be had? I mean, I'm not going to sit around arguing, is your baby really a Muslim or is it really a Christian? And what's this? I mean, what's the sense of you? Any more than I would, atheists want to argue that a baby's an atheist. I'm like, these assertions to me are senseless. They're sort of ridiculous. Whether it's right or wrong, it's irrelevant to me.
Well, I think that the whole thing about the belief of a child goes toward an argument about later in life when they do have a belief, just saying that it was imposed. The baby argument is basically a thing where people say that the belief in God is innate. That's the only real value I see in the baby argument. But I'm not sure if that's what DPR was getting at.
Wait, no one knows what DPR was getting at. I'm joking.
Well, in his defense, you often disregard his language. I mean, it is, of course, language is a difficult thing, but I think that you have to give him credit for what he's trying to say, and instead of doing the semantic game with every claim. Because I think, even though I understand the point of semantics, I think that we understand what we're getting at.
Okay, but
there is a common understanding.
Okay, but Laci, we understand what we're getting at until he wants to use that shared understanding as a means of saying, hey, Jack, you don't have any evidence, and you shouldn't be teaching people that because it's indoctrination. At that point, we're going to go into, okay, wait, DPR now. Now we're going to go into semantic mode, because our shared understanding of language is when we're in the neutral, we can both agree. But when you want to make positive assertions, which are judgments and claims that are very powerful claims regarding the rightness and wrongness of my actions as a human, well, hell yeah, you're gonna be up against a firewall. And to be honest, I don't think DPR delivers. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't think he does.
Well,